Her opinion show, the podcast you didn't know you needed. Real talk, bold truth, her voice, her vision, her rules. Let's get into it.
Well, today we're doing something a little bit different. We're breaking the mold and telling you that here at Her Media Network, we have the first podcast with men. We are so excited to have the hosts of Ask Sloan.
The boys.
The boys are back in town.
The boys are in town.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's an honor. It's an honor.
Yeah, so we have Sloan and we have Ben.
First of all, thank you for trusting us, coming in with all-girl network,
Right.
which is not what we didn't set out just to be all girls, but it's obviously hard to find men that do want to. Well, maybe it's not, but
No,
you're the first.
You said that you actually can identify because you have nothing but girls at home.
All girls at the house.
Yeah, so you can identify with the drama, everything. And,
Oh, yeah.
But you're pretty chill. So I see whenever you're doing
kinda
your
have
show-
to be, huh?
Well, I don't know outside, but you seem pretty chill.
Well, thank you. Some people might argue with that, but
Maybe. So how did the concept come up?
man, great question. So, been thinking about a podcast for some time, right? It's a great platform. A lot of my role professionally is helping and guiding small business owners to make things happen. So I answer a lot of questions. But there's a lot of people in my space, doing a lot of stuff, talking about a lot of stuff. And I don't want to just be this another thing, And so I was really just trying to concept it. I was talking to one of my clients. He owns a marketing firm. His name's Jonathan Weissman. Shout out, Jonathan. And he was like, I was like, what should I do? What makes sense? And oddly enough, he had invited me there to ask me questions, right? So he's like, ask Sloan. And I was like, ooh, that hits. I think I like that. I'm going to steal that, Johnny. And so then that's kind of where the concept came. And then I was just really thinking about content and creating it and how much other stuff that I do. And my relationship with Ben just kind of hit me. And I was like, man, I really think we could do this.
Your relationship
together.
with Ben. So you're not in a relationship.
It's a bromance.
Yes.
Is it a bromance?
Yes.
Or?
That is not why they asked us to this note.
Come
So
on.
yeah, how did that combination?
Mentee come about.
So I'll let him
Honestly,
tell that
yeah.
part of the story.
So
Tell
Ben,
him
this
how
is
we
Ben,
met and what
co-host
happened.
Ben.
So that honestly was through happenstance. It just so happened that I met somebody randomly while doing work late night at a coffee shop. He invited me to this networking event, and I'm a pretty social guy, so I was open always to meeting new people, and I'm not from Texas. So I was like, I need some friends. I'm here all by myself.
Yeah.
And so I went to this networking event, and I was just talking to a lot of random people there, and I see Sloan, he comes over and he sits right next to me. And, I'm chatting it up with a bunch of different people. And so I see him. I'm like, oh, hey, nice jacket. We start talking. And he starts telling me stories about, just his experience as an entrepreneur. And I thought, this guy's really interesting. And I think that, I'd like to get to know him more. And so I talked to him about that. And I was very forthcoming about that. I was like, I'd love to get to know you more. I'd love if we connected and we talked. And he was super open about it. And so, yeah, we had connected. We talked. He... offered to be my mentor, and then that was all she wrote from there.
And the bromance began.
And
Romance began.
that's how the bromance
How long ago
began.
was that?
Man, probably a year now, maybe.
A year.
Time
So
is,
I
kinda
would say maybe I've known you now for
For several years,
3 years?
At least 3.
Yeah.
3 and been watching you go through the flow of
sure.
Yeah.
this podcast journey. And I was like, enough.
Because we started talking about it 3
Yes.
years ago. It was
It's literally been a journey. And I
Well,
was
we wanted
like,
to see where the podcast was.
Well, the thing is, it's been even from before that last one. And I was like, enough of this, Sloan. We got to get, he's been podcasting now for a while, just not getting it out.
Well, that's what's funny is there's so much involved, right? There's writing it, there's shooting it, then there's editing it, then there's posting it, then there's promoting it.
Exactly.
So all these pieces. And I have so
job.
many other
Yeah,
things
you're
to
an
do.
entrepreneur. I
Yeah.
mean, you got
So I've tried to put together a couple of teams already, and everybody was just their side thing. And if you don't really have people that this is their intentional focus, I don't, the last guy was like, look, I'm serious about this. I want to do it every week. When I want to let's shoot
Come
a
to
few
me, come
and then
to
let's post.
me.
Yeah. And he's not proactive. the last time I talked to him was a month ago, and like, where's my
because
six episodes?
he's a videographer and not
Exactly.
it's really different. You really have to understand for us, like the podcast management side is where we were like, okay, we've kind of perfected this now, and we need to help people, because we would have quit a long time ago had we not developed the strategy, because this is not my first podcast.
Right.
Everybody else wasn't pulling the weight on that one, and it just never could take off. So with this one, we came into it and I was like, it has to be like this. It has to be run like a business, or
sure.
it's just not going to work.
It's not going to work.
It's not. It's going to be that 30, maybe if you're lucky, 20 episodes, and they were thrown on there and then they go away. But the beauty of podcasting is what we're now trying to let people know is that it's a business.
Absolutely.
You can make
Absolutely.
money off of it. You
For
can
sure.
run it as so many different aspects to advertisements, sponsorships, what else? Paid guests. Like there's
everything.
just so many different things now, but you don't have time. You don't have time to do that, you know? And so you need somebody to kind of keep the ship going. And
Exactly.
And also, some of them
Exactly.
are super expensive. And so I think we have some good.
yeah,
Well, that's why I was so excited. I mean, I told Ben, I was like, look, Nushin just called me. We're switching gears, bro. We're going to have to go over here.
and plus, you'd already seen what we were doing.
Yeah,
we didn't just
I already knew what
cold
you-
call and
yeah.
say, "Hey, sir," you know. And we were,
No, of course,
Yeah.
of course.
Because then you would have been like, "Well, I've been through this before. I've been abused.
I come from a traumatic relationship.
I don't know if I can trust." But yeah,
sure.
so we'd been working with Jasenia and getting that. But you know, I'm glad that you're finally getting it out there.
Thank you, Nushin.
It's been a long time
You
coming.
have a lot to say.
Yes.
I mean, literally, you can go on, and that's one of the things. Well, it's a good
You got
thing.
that right.
Yeah.
Because some people, but some people, you can't even get a word out of them. Sometimes
Sure.
you talk to them, interview them, and they cut off, or, it just doesn't make sense. But, us being behind the scenes and have been listening to you, even our producer that was there a few times, we're like, yes, agreeing with you. Really
Yeah, there's
into
definitely
it.
value in what you're
Yes.
saying, and I think the only thing that was a good call was bringing Ben in, because he's able to pull you,
Yeah.
like,
For
all
sure.
right, let's veer towards this way now with this, and so we keep you on track. But for all that being said, what's the show about? What's coming? What can people expect? So Sloan, tell us a little bit about your idea, then we'll go to Ben and what he's.
For sure. So the topics are business, family, faith, right? But that covers like everything, So I look at life like this. Life and business are a series of problems to solve. And we're all trying to get more and more information on how do we solve these problems better, faster, stronger, whatever. And then after meeting Ben and beginning to mentor him, I was like, look, this is a great opportunity to kind of bring problem solving to, like, again, how do I bring value?
Well, tell our guests what your background is so they understand.
So I'm a fractional chief financial officer. I've been starting and growing small businesses for 20 years. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've had a few projects of my own, but then I support other projects. So, we started out with nothing, right? And it's like, okay, how do we go from nothing to something? And then we got to something. Okay, well, now how do we go from something to real money? Then how do we go from money to millions? Then how do we get, like, it's this, like, each stage has like this whole like process that you have to develop, and it's an absolute nightmare. And so it's been my job to help others through that nightmare and get to a place where they can provide for their families, where they have a little bit of money in the bank, where they can accomplish their goals. And so my personal mission has just been to help those around me achieve their goals. That's what brings me joy and so forth. So that's what I'm doing with Ben.
So Ben, you saw that, or
Yeah.
you feel like this is like right what you're going through right now?
So, like I said, I'm not originally from Texas. I think I best like to describe my life as like starting from the 1 yard line, and so I started from the 1 yard line, and I've just been with that goal in mind that I want to get to that, to the finish line, right? Get that touchdown. And so throughout that process, it's always been like seeking out different mentors and leaders and people that can help elevate me, because I didn't really have access to that growing up. And it was kind of just like, perfect. I really think it was God's plan, because as soon as I spoke to Sloan, it was a very synergistic relationship. I had questions. We share a similar faith. We share in a lot of our ideologies as well. And I also come from a home of predominantly women, right? And so I can relate to him on that aspect. And so the more that we would talk about things, I realized that we can speak about not only business, but we could speak about the intersectionality of, personal development, business, your faith, and, being a good family man. And those are all aspects of my life that I want to perfect. And so it just so happened that he needed to, start this podcast. And I've always wanted to do a podcast. I tried to do it in college. Long story short, it did not work out. I almost had a falling out with one of my best friends because of that.
That's
podcast.
why we have to say, Ben, trust us. Ben, trust us.
Literally. And so it's just been a blessing, to have you guys as well. You guys help us guide that ship, and having Sloan in my life, it's just been a huge blessing for me. So it's just one of the things that I've wanted to continue to perfect and just build on.
And what I like is that you ask a lot of the questions that entrepreneurs or people that want to get, own their own business, they're going to ask.
Yeah, absolutely. Because the thing is that there's not necessarily a guideline as to how to be successful in any of these avenues, right? And, some people will talk about a niche on one side, somebody will talk about a niche on another side, but, everybody's kind of following the new shiny thing.
Thank you for saying niche.
Right?
Yeah.
We're here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Niche.
Yes, I know. People say that.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No,
Yeah.
you're fine. I've been corrected on that so many times. So
I
many
know,
words that I
I'm
haven't
just
been able to
like-
pronounce in the
Right.
past. But yeah, it's just like one of those things where when you can ask somebody that has that experience, you almost cut down the level of mistakes that you might have made. Right. And so I'm just trying to do that not only for myself, but for the people back at home that's sharing that experience, that they also don't have people that they can go to, that they also feel stuck, that they also don't have insight into faith, entrepreneurship, or life or anything. So, yeah.
And faith
Long
is a
story
big part
short.
of that too, because sometimes you want to throw in the towel and walk away, whether it's business or life, and the only person you might have is God or whoever you
Amen.
pray to.
Yeah.
But it gets a lot of people through. And so with that, I would say maybe you never get to the touchdown or the finish line, or
Yeah.
you're always, on to the next, trying to perfect it. But it does help for somebody like you who's been through this part of the process to a beginner to be like, you can, it's better if you gauge it this way, and maybe you won't have that stress going on there. Just like us going through this motion and being able to say, look, we can help you avoid that.
Absolutely. I ask hard questions, right? And my father is one of my biggest mentors, best friend, and he's a CPA, and then his friends and lots of professionals. So I've spoken to a ton of very successful people, and I'm the one that can bring them questions that they can't answer, right? And so then I got to go find out what that answer is, and because I have to, as an example, one of my questions was, how do you pay the bills when you don't have any money, And they're like, what?
Especially me.
What do you mean? And I'm like, well, we don't have any money. I gotta pay the bills. We gotta
Yeah.
keep going. And so I had to figure
Without
out
closing the doors.
without close, we gotta keep So I had to figure out a formula for that. You know what I mean? And we'll definitely do a show.
That would be
one.
great.
I had a renter who lived like that. That's how he, every time it was for him to pay the rent, it was his business. It was like doing something over here to get to do. And that is such a toxic way to live. It's for your household, for whatever. So if someone can help people in that angle and direction of their business, oh my gosh. Because I feel like a lot of them, they never get out of it.
No, you don't. Because the thing is that there's so much what and why out there, what you need to do and why you need to do it. But there's very little how. And all of my questions are how, right? Okay. And so just real quick, right? The how on that is first you have to pay your people. Okay. So if you have people, you have to pay them first. Because if you don't pay them, they can't pay their bills. They're not coming to work
employees.
tomorrow. Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. The next is your building, okay, or whatever space you need, or whatever equipment that you have, whatever tools you need to actually provide your product or service. That has to come next, right? Debt ends up coming at the very tail end, okay. And yeah, that's painful, but it's a different conversation, because whoever is your debt holder, they'll take a little bit versus all of it. Your credit will get destroyed, but you still can keep your doors open, right? So then there's this thing, and then you have to have a plan to make more money, okay? So it's where is your brain focused on the fact that you don't have any money? Okay, well, you need to turn that off because you don't have any money. Now, how do you make more money?
Yeah.
And what's that model look like, right? And that's where a lot of people will lose focus as well. Like they just don't understand how do I make money? Are you sure you're supposed to be in business?
Well, that's what I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
Is there ever a moment when you're like, I don't think this is working out? Like how do you know
Absolutely.
when?
Give them a reality check.
Yeah, how do you-
Giving them a reality check, which
Like-
I'm pretty sure it's pretty hard. But
I hit
you
him
have
right
to.
in the nose, like
Yeah.
as soon as possible.
Somebody has to say it, because if not, they're gonna.
And have you ever had someone say that to you?
Absolutely. So when one of my first businesses, it was a hot rod. It was a like a metal fabrication place, and we ended up building hot rods and little complex there. But we billed hourly for labor. Okay, and my partner, who was the owner, he wanted to bill like $50 an hour, and I was like, we can't bill $50 an hour. We might as well close and go home. And he's like, what do you like? I'm like, no, we can't. Like, we might as well close and go. I'm out. It's like, you can't pay me.
Yeah.
So like, we need to like, we really kind of need to be charging like $100 an hour. He's like, oh, we can't do that. We're not worth that. I'm like, well, what do we got to do to be worth that? Okay, so we have to start at 65, and then tell me the 3 things that I can do to bring us to 75. Say, okay, well, we need to be able to be more efficient. So I need this piece of equipment, this piece of equipment, this piece of equipment. Okay, great. What else do we need? Okay, well, we need a little bit more skilled labor. Okay, awesome. Well, I got to pay that guy 25 an hour versus 18 an hour. Okay, so it's like we put a formula around that. Okay, so within 6 months, I raised the price from 65 to 75. Then within 6 months from there, I raised the price from 75 to 85 with some additional enhancements. And so if you're not thinking about those things and you don't understand your math model, then you're in for some serious problems.
Do you still own that business?
No. The
You were
Lord,
in for some serious
yeah. No, the Lord decided to flood that building a few times. So,
No.
so it was kind of doomed, unfortunately, from the start. But learned so many things through that
for
process. My friend's doing great. Most of the people that I'm still in contact with from that business are doing great. That's another thing. The end of the world never happens. Mm-hmm. Like, you feel like it's going to happen every single day, especially if you like read CNN or Fox News. Okay,
Yeah.
like we're dying
Stay
tomorrow.
off of it.
Okay, but it never ends. So you definitely have to get that fear.
And you shouldn't
out of
live
you.
like it is,
You should not.
because the
No.
business will fail.
It is. It's
And
like,
get into more debt.
you got to put your focus in the right places
Yeah.
in order to make it happen.
And how the concept is between your business and then if you have a family, because that's another pressure there. Yes, you got to pay your employees all of the important things for your business, but then again, you also have a family.
Time management is huge. Absolutely. And in the beginning of a business, you're not going to have a lot of time for your family. Your family needs to know that.
The
right?
sacrifice.
This is something I'm definitely teaching Ben, because he wants to have a family one day. So he's trying to get through the hard stuff now. So
Which
he
is
can have
smart. Which is
work-life
smart.
Do
balance.
everything I
Do
can
it
right
now.
Yeah,
For sure.
Get it out now.
Yes.
So
That's
Yeah.
One of the
that's
things I
one of
learned
the
too,
best
right?
advice I could give.
Oh,
as
for sure.
when you get to a point later in life, I think you focused on other things that you shouldn't have been. And there's nothing better for a man to have his shit together
Yeah.
before
Trust me, I've heard it.
he comes in with a wife, a baby.
Yes.
You never have that time that you need to really fully, it's
And
hard.
kids grow up so fast, you
Yeah.
miss all of those years that you could have been there for them.
Honestly, I'm going through it, but in an adjacent role, right? Because I'm an uncle. And so I saw my niece this weekend, and I hadn't seen her since I moved here 3 years ago. I've barely been able to see her, and every time I see her, she's twice the size as she was
Yeah.
before. And so it kind of gives me insight into what that might be like. But one of the things I learned from Sloan is like, you need to be willing to not only take that extra mile in the beginning, but then make sacrifices where need be and know when to pivot, right? So for him, pivoting from that business, for me, pivoting from New Jersey to Houston, Texas.
Yeah.
But when you do find a partner already from the gate that they understand and they support you, because that's a huge problem. Like
Yes.
if you meet somebody who all of a sudden is like, wait, we don't have time for this. We're not doing that. It needs to be, I'm doing this for you. Like, or she's out there doing the same thing, trying to find her way, and you support her the same.
Yeah, I always put, like, if I want to have a girlfriend, I put her through the audit process, right? And that just means she's
Don't say
meeting all
that.
my sisters. Is the truth. Because my sisters are the ones that are going to be like, well, one thing that you didn't catch over here, right? And so I think that, within not only business, but also faith, you get to really see how somebody is internally and what their character is.
Right.
Well, all of these are going to be concepts and themes that you're going to be talking
Absolutely.
about,
Yep.
especially at the beginning. You're going to talk a little bit about yourself, who you are.
More about yourself.
Yes, more about yourself, because I'm pretty sure they want to ask you, but they want to see who you are so that they can relate to you.
For sure.
And so your show is coming up.
Absolutely.
launching?
What are we? What's the
Launch date?
Yes,
What's the launch date?
launch date.
August 12th.
Yes, so
I think
we're
so. But
excited.
yes, it's soon.
We don't want to give it away
Coming
yet.
soon,
We don't
ladies
want to
and
give it away, but
Plus minus.
It's this
It'll
month.
it'll
We'll
be
start promoting it here
yes.
next week. So definitely you guys want to follow Ask Sloan. So he is on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and maybe more to come.
Yes.
Yeah, and please comment with questions, okay? Because it's Ask Sloan. So we definitely are going to be reading the comments and finding out questions from the audience so that we can answer your questions and making sure that we're bringing relevant information to you.
Definitely.
Great. Well, thank you
Excited
so
about it.
much for being here. We're
Well, thanks
excited
so much
about
for
it.
having us.
Yes.
Yes,
we're
cheers,
so very
guys.
excited.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers to our water.